This is a very interesting one. Hats off.
Uh-huh. Hats off. Well, you know, when I saw it the other day, I was thinking, oh, no.
Stop right there. Stop
No,
right
no,
there.
no, we don't have hats off. Among Babe's papers, well, Hats Off and The Battle of the Century were the two pictures. Ironic that they've been missing in action for so many years. They were absolutely the two pictures that the Roach Studio used to really publicize this new team of Laurel and Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Battle of the Century, but even more so Hats Off, which makes it doubly sad and ironic that we don't have a print of it.
Yeah.
And Babe was very proud of this because, you know, he had not been a featured play. He'd been a supporting player for most of his time in movies. He'd been part of the Plump and Runt team at Vim back in 1916, but ever since then, he'd been a supporting comic, really.
Yeah.
And so now, as Venice Lloyd told me, she said, he came over to the house one day and he was pacing up and down and he said, do you really think I can be part of a team with Laurel? Do you really think so? He was very anxious to be, you know, because he knew he was being groomed for this.
Right, you know? Okay.
And so in his papers, there's this. They had Hilarity Week at the Metropolitan Theater in Los Angeles. And this is a little flyer. There's a photo of Laurel and Hardy and Hats Off.
Yeah.
And it was on the bill with Tilly's Punctured Romance, not the Chaplin film, but the Paramount film from 1928 with W.C. Fields and Chester Conklin.
Right.
And there are also several newspaper clippings of reviews from that showing in Babe's papers. All of them love Hats Off. It's the funniest thing they've ever seen. And all of them say that Tilly's Punctured Romance is the worst thing ever filmed. What is this? Not a laugh in a carload. So there's that. Then on onion skin paper, once again, this is 93 years old. Campaign on Laurel and Hardy. This is an outline from the studio of all the different, I should have reprinted this in the book. You see, for all the stuff that's in the book, there's more. Which is why I need an archivist to please help me so that I don't, I just turned 62. I need to get all this preserved before I shuffle off this mortal coil. Anyway, this is advanced trailers, specially prepared advertising trailers used in advance. Additional newspaper advertising space. 100 special 24-sheet billboard posters. House organ of Metropolitan Theater gave the comedy special billing, which is what I just showed you.
Yeah.
Hollywood Dry, which was a ginger ale company. 50 Owl drugstore windows in Los Angeles have displays of Hollywood Dry ginger ale tied in with enlargements of the two comedians drinking the ale. What else? Anyway, motor transit. 80 motor transit stages carried half-sheet cards, those are posters, tying in with the comedy and theater. Ralph's grocery stores, which we still have. Entire chain of 50 Ralph's grocery stores inserted slips into bags with copy, hats off to Ralph's vacuum coffee, then see hats off at the Metropolitan. Radio hookup, elevator cards. Oh, goodness. I mean, just this huge advertising campaign. And then Babe also had, I hope people will be able to see this. There's a little picture here in the middle. It's a grocery store and it has a little card for hats off there.
Yeah.
This is the special standee, which you would have seen at the movie theater.
Yeah.
This is an ad, hats off to motor transit. Say Laurel Hardy, hats off at the Metropolitan in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
There's that.
Fantastic.
There is how many two reel comedies got billboards?
Wow, look at that. Look at that. For such an early comedy of theirs as well. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes. And then here are cars which are driving. These are Hal Roach studio buses.
Yes. That's in the book, isn't it?
These would take the Yar Gang kids to locations.
Oh, right.
J.W. Burns was the transportation guy at Roach's.
Right.
And they have posters for hats off all over them there. Then they had a tie-in with the Stetson Hat Company, noted for Western cowboy hats, but they also made other kinds of hats. So there's Stan and his Stetson for hats off.
Brilliant.
And here is Babe with his.
I'm not seeing that one. That's lovely.
Looking very dapper.
Very dapper.
And again, Babe, these are all from Babe's collection.
Okay.
So he was particularly, if he had asked for prints of these from Stax, he was he was really happy
Right.
that this publicity was happening.
That's
Here once
yes.
again, Roach Transportation people.
What a great shot.
And then here's the ivy-covered wall. You always see that in the background, and more shots.
That's
Here we
great.
are once again at the Metropolitan Theater. Yeah. Oh, one side of the lobby. Back when they had showmanship at movie theaters, back when we had movie theaters,
Yeah.
they would do things like this in the lobby.
Great.
And what was the Chili's Punctured Romance. Oh, and coming next Thursday, another comedy team. We had we had. In fact, somebody wrote an article about this. I've got a clipping of it. It's Chester Conklin and W.C. Fields in the remake of Chili's Punctured Romance, Laurel and Hardy and Hats Off, and coming soon, the comedy team of Wallace Beery and Raymond Hatton in Partners in Crime. So we have 3 movie comedy teams right in a row here.
Wow.
And then this, another Hats Off, please. See Laurel Hardy at the Metropolitan Theater.
That's great.
All of this, and I do have one original from the film. Oh, and then of course, God bless her, Anita Garvin was in the film.
Yeah, yeah.
And that house this is the house that should have been there for the music box.
Oh, okay.
This actually is the top of the steps
Right.
of the music box. You know, when they do it in the music box, then we're back at the studio.
Yes, yeah.
We're Professor von Schwarzenhoffen's house, but Anita Garvin's house was the house, and it's there still, and looks like it. So yeah, Hats Off was very definitely the kickoff film for the Laurel and Hardy series, even if it wasn't an actual series just yet in terms of studio documentation.
Yeah.
But definitely the one for the public.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Hal Yates and Maury Gratian are the 2 guys in the payroll ledgers who are credited as the writers for Laurel and Hardy all during the silent period. Mm-hmm. They never get credit. It always says H.M. Walker, who really did titles and sort of, he also, along with Leo McCarey, sort of oversaw all the product.
Right.
But anyway, Hal Yates later became a comedy director. And he, in 1945, directed a film called It's Your Move with Edgar Kennedy, which is a remake, at least partially, of Hats Off.
Right.
Where Edgar and his brother-in-law carry a washing machine up. It's a different flight of steps, but it's the same premise.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, did he borrow the reference print from the Roach lot to take a look at that before he did the remake and then not return it? You know, what happened to that print? There should be.
That's possible,
because
isn't
they usually made around 300 prints of everything, at least for domestic, at least for USA. I don't know what they did for foreign.
Yeah.
But for the USA print, there were about 300 prints, most of which were ultimately intentionally destroyed for their silver content, and then because they weren't needed anymore. But usually the studio kept at least a couple of prints and the negatives.
Yeah.
So.
It's just frustrating, isn't it? I mean, to all intents and purposes, looking at the stills, it is, it is very, very close to the music box, isn't it? Like for like.
Yeah, and the opening sequences too, which are not yet on the steps, but they're with Jimmy Finlayson.
Yeah.
That looks to be very fun. We do have, fortunately, I don't have it on physical paper, but somebody somewhere had and sent me a scan of the cutting continuity.
Oh, okay.
Now, a cutting continuity is not a script. A script is before you make the picture. A cutting continuity is after.
Right.
And MGM, I don't know if other studios did this. I've only ever seen them for MGM movies. Mm-hmm. I think MGM made these in lieu of sending a physical print of the film to the Library of Congress for copyright purposes.
Right.
I think rather than sending them a print, they said, well, here's a written document of everything in the movie.
Yeah.
And usually, if we have the film, those are of minor interest. It's nice to see how they transcribe the dialogue to see if it fits with the way we hear it. Yeah. And sometimes they have everything in feet and frames, so you know exactly how long every shot is. Well, in the case of a film like Hats Off, where we don't have the movie, the cutting continuity becomes very important because it tells us everything in every shot. And I think the cutting continuity for Hats Off actually does have feet and frames. So you could take that and with the stills, do an approximation remake having
Yeah.
every shot be the exact length as it is in the real movie.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's good. There is
So
one on the YouTube, isn't
somebody
there?
with too much time can go do that.
That's certainly not me.
Yeah.
No, there is a couple of recreations on YouTube. I think of people have put stills in order. I don't know
Yeah.
if they've used the continuity or not, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it certainly
Hmm.
gives an idea. Yeah, it certainly
Hmm.
gives an idea. And it would have been just great to see the end finale gag with all the hats
Yeah.
in the middle of the street, and just to see how that wound
Well,
up.
we'll do a triple bill of London After Midnight, Greed, and Hats Off. It'll be a gigantic slideshow.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely.